Welcome to part 2 of query execution plans, and here we're going to take a look at some examples of these execution plans and let you see what's going on here. Now notice I've got a query here that we're going to run. It's a pretty simple join query, and I'm going to highlight this and execute it and just let you see what it looks like. Now notice I'm in text mode. This thing's going to come up by default in grid mode, and if you'll notice right there on the button bar and on your video, it's probably going to be hard to see. But if you'll just kind of move your mouse around up here, you'll see results to file, then results to grid, and results to text. Well, I'm going to put it on results to text because it's easier to see some of the execution plan information that I'm going to be showing you. So let's start off with these XML execution plans. Let's look at creating an actual plan. So I'm going to call set statistics XML on. Notice there's a space, no underscore, and this is kind of like a toggle. We're going to set them on, and every time we run a query in this session, it's going to give us XML statistics, and then we'll have to set statistics XML off when we're done. So notice I'll just highlight both of those, execute it. Here comes all of my data, and then when it's done, notice right here is the show plan in XML format. Now notice the show plan shows you all kind of stuff, the data that came up. Notice the query plan, degree of parallelism 1, compile CPU 6, compile time 6, that's milliseconds, the memory 168, the requested memory 8544. You can see all kinds of metrics being reported here, right? And it goes all the way to the end, and there it is on the end. And by the way, if you can't see all of this, if it's truncated, you can go to Tools, Options, and if I come down here to Query Results and go to SQL Server and Results to Text, notice yours probably has 255 there. Just up the maximum number of characters displayed in each column, and you'll be able to get more of that out there. Now, let's talk about stopping this. I'll turn this off and I'll execute that command, and that will turn off set statistics. And then I can do set show plan underscore XML, and I want to show you something here. If I try to turn this on and I do it the same way, execute that with the query, I'm going to get an error, and it's going to say it's got to be the only statement in the batch for the set show plan. So what I have to do is, remember, use that go batch command, and that tells the compiler, run this, all right? So read this and go run it, then come back and read this. So make this two separate batches, if you will. And so I will run it that way now. And you will notice there is my actual show plan. And I can see it's returned all these metrics. Now, I will tell you, these metrics are kind of hard to read in this format. If you're a kind of person who really enjoys reading that kind of stuff, you're going to like that better. But let me set this off. Then I want to show you the really cool version of this whole query execution plan business. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to right-click out here in the query window, and I'm going to choose Include Actual Execution Plan. Now notice this is a toggle. You see the little icon right here? Notice there's nothing there. If I click it and I go right back in and look, this is now toggled on. Notice the yellow box around it. Okay? So now if I execute this query, it'll execute. And then when it's done, notice I have an execution plan tab that shows up. Now, if I pull this thing up, it's going to show me graphically, let me unpin this, what happened to execute that query. And if I move my mouse over these icons, it starts to tell me a lot more information about what's going on here. Notice an index scan, a non-clustered index happened here. And if I look right here, I bump the mouse, it shows me things like the actual number of rows, the estimated operator cost, the estimated CPU cost. And so notice this is lots of information about what's going on. And I can see this information on every one of these icons. Notice for that hash match. And it's telling me it did 2 index scans on my 2 tables, did a hash match on the inner join, and then it gave me my select results. Okay? Pretty neat stuff, right? So I'm going to pull this back down so that we can see into our query window there. And notice to turn that off, I can come back out here and just toggle that. Notice it's yellow right there. Just toggle it back off. Okay. I'm going to make those results go away and right click again. And notice I can display an estimated execution plan, and it actually executes the query as soon as I choose it, and I don't have to toggle that back off. But notice it's going to show me roughly the same thing, and I can move these around. And so what are you watching for? Well, we're watching for icons here like table scans, which means need to put an index there. And we're basically running this, and this is where the art part of this comes in, to determine what's going on here to create this, and is there any way I could optimize it, either through my query or through structures like indexes on some of the tables, to make this thing run faster, better, and more efficiently. And the only way you can really understand that is to kind of dig in to some of the under the hood architecture things about how SQL Server processes these, and that's going to be outside this course. So what you need to understand is how to run a query execution plan, how to see them, what they look like, and then I mentioned about going out and looking up the icons in Query Execution Plans Part 1, so you probably want to do that as well. But that's kind of the lowdown on getting at these execution plans and having SQL Server say, hey, here's what I did. What do you think of this?